Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Oneness of Black podcast. I'm here today sitting with the lovely, amazing Shay Lynn Dixon. And she's an entrepreneur and she's joined us today for our discussion that's centered around our cultural diversity within our Black cultures, as well as some of the amazing things that she's been doing in our community, as well as, some of the things, experiences that she's had throughout the years that really helped to shape her to be the amazing person she is today. So we're going to go ahead and start with just having Shailene talk a little bit about some of her upbringing, kind of like where you're born, that type of stuff, and then we'll go into some more discussions.
Most certainly. So, I was born in Erie, Pennsylvania, which is right outside of Pittsburgh.
Mhm.
I both of my parents were, I was born in the 80s. I don't give away my age, but
That's
um,
okay.
it was a time where there was, a lot of poverty.
Mhm.
Most of the people that I meet from that era and from that area were put in the foster care system or they were adopted. My father, my biological father, he was a military veteran, and my
Mhm.
mom, she had some health and substance abuse challenges. So, although I was born outside of Erie, I
Mhm.
ended up going into the foster care system around age 6.
Mhm.
And I wound up being adopted around 9. And when I was adopted, I was actually adopted by a white family.
Oh wow.
So that's what you would consider a transracial adoption, which I
Mhm.
just learned about this through TikTok in the
Wow.
last couple years because a
Mhm.
lot of other people have had similar experiences as
Mhm.
me. So my cultural experience is so different and so unique,
Mhm.
due to being, I'm black.
Yeah.
I did my ancestry. I'm
Oh.
Nigerian, British, and French
Oh
Canadian,
wow.
which is
Okay.
quite a mix. Yeah.
Right. You're mixed all
Right.
the way up.
Right. And I'm like 30, 30, 30, like,
Right.
pretty spread out. So that was different for me, but my culture experience was very different
Mhm.
than the average. But I will say that being growing up in the foster care system and
Mhm.
being adopted is a whole unique experience in
Yes.
itself.
Mhm.
And that upbringing has definitely developed who I am as a woman today,
Mhm.
and why I advocate for foster care kids so
Yes.
much,
Mhm.
and also why I'm an entrepreneur. All of these
Right.
things shaped me.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Wow. So that is a really interesting story.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much of your, younger years you remember,
Yeah.
especially being that you kind of change cultures, when
Yes.
being born in a black and then going into a white culture, that must have been an interesting experience as a child.
It was a shock.
It was a shock.
It's like what people say, a culture shock.
Mm-hmm.
For me, growing up outside of Erie and all of that, I remember a lot,
Mm-hmm.
because I had to grow up so quickly at the age of 6. I was doing things and I had to be responsible things and I had to be cognizant of things that most people didn't have to at age 6.
Wow.
So I matured very quickly,
Mm-hmm.
because I was trying to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a younger brother who I was responsible for.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a cultural thing as well, right? Us,
Mm-hmm.
especially as Black
Yeah.
women,
Mm-hmm.
when we have younger siblings,
Yes.
we become a second mother. I'm still
Mm-hmm.
his second mother. That was my
Right.
first child. So, navigating that. And I was in foster care. I was adopted when I was 9, but we didn't actually transition until I was almost 10.
Okay.
So, even before was officially in foster care, I was
Mm-hmm.
in orphanages and group homes. And
Yeah.
so the foster care experience itself,
Mm-hmm.
I lived with different cultures. I
Wow.
lived with the pastor,
Mm-hmm.
I live with a white pastor, a black pastor, a black family.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very unique in itself.
Wow.
So I learned a lot of my stereotypes of what black people are or what black people do
Mm-hmm.
or how black people act in
Mm-hmm.
foster care. And most
Yeah.
of them were negative stereotypes.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned through living with white people and being raised as a teenager. And I would say that I raised them more than they raised me. Sorry, Dad, but those things all shaped who I am, and so
Mhm,
I took bits and pieces from each experience. So I would say I'm very culturally diverse because
mhm.
of all of those experiences, and I
Yeah.
also code switch pretty well because
Good.
of it. So,
Mhm. Look at
you
you.
know,
Yeah, that is pretty cool just to have the experiences of
yeah,
both sides because you can see through the lens.
yes,
Yeah, through the lens of more than one different type of cultural experiences. And
that's
that's a
right.
good thing
Yeah,
because it makes you a little bit more relatable
yes,
and you can relate and understand what someone else could be possibly going through in different experiences. So thank you for
yeah,
sharing that.
no worries.
So what was because I know when we spoke a little bit about being in college and growing up and and some of the black cultural experiences that you had outside of being in your white family.
Yeah.
So what was that like for you? Some of those experiences that you had, and how did those experiences kind of help shape who you are today?
Yeah, so I always thought that they were very negative.
Mm-hmm.
I always felt because so when I got out of foster care and I was adopted,
Mm-hmm.
both of my parents, I actually never forget one of my foster moms. Her name was Nikki Barnes.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got into foster care, I couldn't read or write. So I'm 9 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can wash dishes, I can clean a house, I can make a meal,
Mm-hmm.
but I couldn't read or write because I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't in school full
Mm-hmm.
time.
Okay.
I bounced around to so many different houses that I
Mm-hmm.
just really never received an education.
Mm-hmm.
And she taught me how to read
Mm.
and do flashcards and learn numbers. So it was
Right.
really interesting that
Mm-hmm.
when I was adopted, both of my parents were teachers.
Oh.
I'm like, how does this work?
Wow.
And
Mm-hmm.
when I was adopted, they spent a lot of time nurturing me educationally
Mm-hmm.
because I would lived in an affluent community,
Mm-hmm.
like in Berwyn, outside of Philadelphia, near like Radnor, Villanova.
Okay.
Um, there was maybe, I want to say maybe 5% of the entire school was black,
Oh.
maybe 10% other
Mm-hmm.
nationalities. I
Okay.
mean, we were a very small portion
Mm-hmm.
through middle school, even at the end of elementary school, middle school, going into high school. That was my experience. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of my experiences were hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
I never fit in. That's
Mm-hmm.
all I remember is that I never fit in.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little too white for the black people, and I
Mm-hmm.
was a little too black for the white people.
Right. Wow.
So I have constantly found myself trying to figure out
Mm-hmm.
my identity and where I fit in culturally because
Mm-hmm.
I'm not mixed.
Right.
I mean, now that I have my ancestry, I know that I am a little
Right.
mixed,
You're a mix.
but both of my parents were black, and
Right.
so I didn't fit in. I didn't have curly biracial hair, so I
Mm-hmm.
didn't necessarily fit in with the biracial,
Group.
group or the
Mm-hmm.
stereotypes about biracial people. Both my parents were clearly white.
Mm-hmm.
So the first experience that I really remember is being a part of Girl Scouts and
Mm-hmm.
going in my very white neighborhood, handing out Girl Scout cookies, and
Mm-hmm.
people not wanting to answer the door,
Oh.
or people telling me that
Mm-hmm.
there was no soliciting in our neighborhood. I said, I live in this neighborhood,
Right.
and having to have my parents get involved,
Mm-hmm.
or going into restaurants and being treated differently as a teenager, but then when they
Mm-hmm.
see my parents, oh hey, I'm like,
Right.
oh okay, so
Right.
this is
Right.
so even in school I learned
Mm-hmm.
very early on that I had to um be less passionate in the way
Mm-hmm.
that I communicate
Yeah.
because it was always taken as aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
I had to make sure that I was very articulate and standing up and advocating for myself.
Right.
And then also making sure that I was in touch with who I was.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So my parents made sure that every second Sunday, not
Mm-hmm.
first Sunday because they didn't want to do communion because service was going to be too long, they made sure that we went to a black church,
Mm-hmm.
Second Baptist in Berwyn.
Wow.
And that's where I met a lot of my black friends.
Okay.
And so for me, my experiences and culture experiences
Mm-hmm.
learning were through my friends,
Mm-hmm.
through what my friends' parents taught them,
Mm-hmm.
through going over and having sleepovers and seeing like, oh, okay, this is what a black family does. Like, okay.
Right.
And learning through, their parents,
Mm-hmm.
some of my closest friends, their moms treated me like I was their daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And so I learned very early on that black families,
Mm-hmm.
through any dysfunction, even white families,
Right.
it takes a village.
Yeah, it
And
does.
so
Mm-hmm.
a lot of what I learned was through that village and through those
Right.
experiences through my friends.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that was at church.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget. Mount Zion had the best vacation Bible school, and I loved going to vacation Bible school because
Mm-hmm.
I get to go to the black churches
Yay.
and hopscotch and
Right.
do all
Uh-huh.
the things that weren't necessarily what my family did,
Mm-hmm.
or go to my friends and they're having big cookouts and stuff. I'm
Cookouts.
like,
Uh-huh.
what, this is a cookout. White cookouts are very different,
Yeah.
and especially up north,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah.
a very demure,
Yes.
very much everyone's sitting around, we're having
Mm-hmm.
conversations.
Yeah.
There's no line dancing, there's no
None of that.
playing
Right.
spades or cards. So
Right.
it's like, okay, I played chess every now and again. So it was very different. So I got
Right.
to experience both of those
Right.
at a young age.
Wow.
Not even leading into college was a completely different experience
Yeah.
because I I wanted to fit in so bad.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that when I was younger, and this is why when I mentor younger people, I tell
Mm-hmm.
them just to be you and be
Be
you
you. Mm-hmm.
unapologetically.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that I would have come into my own and my identity and who I was much earlier.
Yeah.
I would be so much further in life. I
Mm-hmm.
spent a lot of my early adolescent years,
Mm-hmm.
teenagers, and into young adult, trying to fit in,
Yeah.
trying to do what I thought would make me
Make it.
feel
Mm-hmm.
like I was black, or
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I could be
Mm-hmm.
down with everybody else,
Yeah.
and that wasn't God's story for me,
No, it wasn't.
at all. At all.
Right.
But still I tried to do it
Yeah.
because that's what was.
That's probably you taking your life into your own hands.
That's right, that's right.
But I do understand though where you're coming from with trying to fit in, you know, because you really everyone wants to be a part of something, right?
Yes,
Everyone
yes.
to feel loved and belong, and so I get it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I get it.
yeah. And I actually ended up receiving that not necessarily from a community of people
Mm-hmm.
that was based on culture, but I ended up receiving that from my church community.
Wow.
So finding a really good youth group,
Mm-hmm.
serving in church. I
Mm-hmm.
went to smaller churches, so I
Mm-hmm.
was able to, get that nurturing. What I felt like I was missing, I was able
Yeah.
to get that through the church mothers,
Wow.
and through the people that poured into me
Mm-hmm.
at church. And
Wow.
so that shaped me a lot too, because the
Mm-hmm.
black church is very different than the white church.
Yes.
Very different.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes, they're very passionate and they want to see the young people, grow up in loving God. So
yes,
they try to pour into you. Yes, yes, absolutely. And vibrant,
very vibrant, definitely.
vibrant, and they get you going.
They do. They
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
So I got something out of both
Both.
sides,
Mm-hmm.
and I was able to, like the church mothers used to say,
Mm-hmm.
you eat the meat and spit out the bones.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that on both sides. I took
Yeah.
what I needed from, my white church was very open minded. They had a
Mm-hmm.
heart to serve. I learned a lot there too.
Mm-hmm.
So being
Yeah.
able to take both and developed who I was personally
Mm-hmm.
outside of what a stereotypical black person looks
Right.
like, and own
Mm-hmm.
it and be who
Yeah,
I am.
that's right.
All the
Yep.
way,
Yep.
unapologetically.
Unapologetically. Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
I love that.
Yes.
So I love that it sounds like you eventually found your
Yeah,
way,
I did.
and not so much trying to fit in and pleasing others after a while.
Yes,
And through that journey, that pretty much helped you to start focusing on who you are today,
that's right.
being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So you do want to tell us like how you found your way into entrepreneur, and what does that look like for you today?
Yeah, so I learned once I was in college that microaggressions are real,
Mm-hmm.
and that as a black woman in the corporate space,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be 10 times better, 10 times better than your peers. And what I was able to do is be 10 times better.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to excel. I was able to work my way up the corporate ladder.
Mhm.
But even in that, I always felt slighted. I
Mhm.
always felt the little offhanded comments. I
Mhm.
always felt paid less than my counterpart.
Mhm.
Um, and I remember going into a meeting, and I'm a senior level account executive, and
Mhm.
being asked by a room of Caucasian men, can I get coffee for everyone? I'm like, you have interns for this.
Right.
And it just kind of did something to
Mhm.
me. So my entrepreneurship journey started off a little bit different. I was pushed into it. God made me very uncomfortable.
Mhm.
My son was having seizures, and we couldn't figure out what's going on. I had to keep taking him to the doctor and keep doing all these different things. And what happened was my job let me go while I was out on
Mhm.
leave. And I was like, what now? I had a non-compete in place, so I couldn't go
Mhm.
work for another corporate logistics company.
Mhm.
And I started doing consulting work
Mhm.
for other small businesses,
Right.
and I started finding solutions. I realized I was a strategist,
Mhm.
and that God gave me a gift to figure things out that other
Mhm.
people don't
Right.
necessarily know how to figure out. Even if I hadn't had experience, it would just come to me.
Wow. Mhm.
So that's kind of how I started, and I
Mhm.
got into logistics. And my husband had been trucking for almost 15 years, doing
Mhm.
contracts, running his own truck.
Yeah.
And we basically, after we tried our first time with business partners, and we were like, okay, let's do this on our own. And when we did it on our own, we realized, okay, this is where we're supposed to be.
Yeah. Mhm.
And I realized really quickly that all of the experiences that I had gone through
Mhm.
leading up to this had prepared me to be an entrepreneur. So
Mhm.
we started our business, Scale Logistics.
Mhm.
We specialize in high value cargo, transporting goods
Oh.
all over the US.
Mhm.
So every single thing, this pillow,
Mhm.
our jewelry,
Mhm.
everything is transported.
Wow.
And somebody has to manage that
Mhm.
freight process, and
Mhm.
that's what we do.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So going into entrepreneurship,
Mhm.
exposed more of the healing that I had to do. So when
Mhm.
I first started off as an entrepreneur, I realized, oh, I need to go to therapy,
Mhm.
because now it started challenging some of my mindsets,
Mhm.
challenging some of the things that I thought I had healed from.
Mhm.
Because it's a different ball game.
Yeah, it
It
is.
really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some of those biases or
Yeah.
unconscious biases that you probably have experienced over the years,
Yes.
um, what does that look like, and how can we even begin to even heal from some of those biases? 'Cause I know even, even within your upbringing, as well as um an adult right now,
Mm-hmm.
like what are some of those biases, like what does that look like for you, and then how were you able to move forward, because I know you said you did and eventually end up going to therapy, so
Yeah.
talk to us about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I went to therapy as a child. Probably every step of life I've gone to therapy.
Hmm.
And I always tell people it's good to have Jesus and a therapist. There's nothing wrong
Yes,
with it.
nothing wrong with it.
The combination is actually very powerful.
Hmm.
So for me, there was a lot of things that I didn't realize I still were had triggers from that would
Hmm.
still trigger me. And what I notice is that it hinders you
Hmm.
from building proper relationships in a
Yes.
professional environment.
Hmm.
It hinders you from showing up as your authentic self.
Yes. Hmm.
And it has you questioning and doubting sometimes what God is trying to do for you. You don't
Hmm.
believe it.
Right.
There's disbelief, there's doubt. So for me, there's a lot of cognitive dissonance
Hmm.
that entrepreneurs experiences
Yeah.
who have unhealed trauma, whether
Hmm.
it's through cultural experiences or whether it's through childhood trauma, whatever it is. There's a lot of cognitive dissonance, and those specifically might be, you want people to be mind readers,
Hmm.
you jump to conclusions, you
Hmm.
overanalyze, you have
Right.
self-doubt.
Hmm.
All of those things are not reality. Those are
Right.
things that your mind is telling you.
Hmm.
So I focused very heavily.
Hmm.
I experienced some challenges early on in our first businesses, that made me feel, I felt betrayed, right? Or I felt sad, or I
Hmm.
felt like I was hurt and I didn't
Hmm.
understand, because I was, trying to, I had such a pure heart and I
Hmm.
was very naive to different
Right.
things. And through therapy, working out, I realized that some of those things carried when I started my own business with my
Right.
husband.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is that you block your own blessings
Mm-hmm.
because your mind is overthinking.
Overthinking.
You're
Mm-hmm.
focused, you're fixating on things that are not true.
Yeah.
And that's what causes
Mm-hmm.
anxiety and
Yeah.
those things that cause depression. So I rebuke that in the
Mm-hmm.
name of Jesus.
Yes.
And what I started focusing on is how can I be more aware of those
Yes.
things?
Mm-hmm.
My therapist used to tell me when something would happen and I would feel a feeling,
Mm-hmm.
I would pause
Mm-hmm.
before I reacted and say, is there evidence of this?
Mm-hmm.
Or is this something that I feel?
Okay.
Because your feelings will deceive you.
Mm-hmm. Because it
And
may come from a trigger or something. Mm-hmm.
exactly. So when I started doing that, I moved really differently.
Mm-hmm.
I had a boldness about myself. I was able to go into rooms and ask
Mm-hmm.
for the things that I believe that
Right.
God had for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not able to, I didn't second guess it. I
Yeah.
didn't feel like I needed to shrink or dim my light. I could walk boldly in it and feel confident in myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a different level of showing up.
Yeah.
And that's what you need in order to be an
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You need to believe in yourself
Yes.
and in what you're doing. And it's hard to do that when
Mm-hmm.
your mind is telling you that you're not worthy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. So, you know, people do talk about, especially within our black cultures, they
yes,
do have like their nose down a little bit,
yes,
or um some negative thinking about going to therapy.
they do.
But it is one of the most rewarding experience that you can have if you are having challenges.
That's right.
So nothing is wrong with going to therapy. And if you do need it, you really should seek that out
Yes,
and go to therapy, because it can make a difference in you moving forward in your
most
life.
certainly.
Yeah.
Most certainly.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
I am a strong proponent for people going to therapy because
Mm-hmm.
I really don't think that people understand how they show up.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it, and now that I've gone to therapy and I've healed so many of the broken places,
Mm-hmm.
um, and a large part of that is I want to show up well for my children.
Exactly.
And
Mm-hmm.
I want to raise healthy, happy, whole children. And part of
Mm-hmm.
that is getting rid of some of your triggers and some of the things that
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
have outside of business.
Mm-hmm.
But even in the business standpoint, I tell people it's really hard to walk into what God has for you
Yeah.
when you don't feel you deserve it.
Right.
And a lot of us deserve
Mm-hmm.
amazing things. We
Yes.
just don't feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
And when your feelings don't match up with God's word, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it's challenging
Mm-hmm.
to move forward.
Yeah.
And people, we talk about having a soft life or being entrepreneur, and
Right.
people always, see my Facebook and see the glamour, and they're like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, I love that you and your husband are entrepreneurs." I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
"You don't know the behind the
Exactly.
scenes
Mm-hmm.
fasting and
Mm-hmm.
praying, and
Mm-hmm.
therapy is work,
Yeah.
and you have to do the work
Mm-hmm.
to heal the places that you didn't break.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you bleed on other people in
Mm-hmm.
your business, in your life.
Right.
And as a black community, I feel like we don't talk about that enough.
We don't.
We just bleed on each other and
Mm-hmm.
then trauma bond, which
Right.
is, where everybody's struggling, everybody's going through. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where we build connection.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't need those type of
Right.
connections. I want healthy
Right.
connections.
Right.
I need you to do
Mm-hmm.
the work to heal yourself,
Mm-hmm.
to show up as your best self, and let's
Exactly.
connect there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's connect on
Yes.
that
Mm-hmm.
growth
Exactly.
standpoint for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Right. Because we definitely can be stronger together.
Yes.
But like you said, if we need to work on us first,
Yes.
that would be somewhere for us to start.
Yeah.
And I love that you share that so much, and you're so open about sharing that, because one of the premise of this particular podcast is that we are stronger together.
Yes.
And I love that you brought up a very interesting point about how can we even begin to be stronger together if we're not strong within our own selves.
That's right.
And so we definitely need to make sure that we are working on us to be stronger within ourselves, and the whatever means that take, definitely God, because we
Yes.
cannot do anything without him, but definitely seeking those help that we need first, so we can build us up, so we can be able to work together with someone else and be stronger together to accomplish the things that God has for us.
Yes.
Because we just never know what what and whom he's going to use. So we need to prepare ourselves.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it goes into our relationships
Mm-hmm.
too, our friendships,
Mm-hmm.
our relationship with our spouse.
Yes.
Because I feel like a lot of times I hear, even mostly black women, because that's, my friend circle, I always tell them, I'm like, you can't wait for someone else to make you happy or
Exactly.
fill this void.
Mm-hmm.
That's a personal,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
agenda. You
Exactly.
are
Mm-hmm.
responsible for making sure that you're happy and
Mm-hmm.
healthy and whole. A man adds to that.
Right.
Friends add to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really thankful that the women that are around me, they're in that same space, because when I'm weak, I need you to be able to cover me.
Exactly.
My husband
Right.
as well,
Mm-hmm.
because we all have moments. I lost my mom.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's been 6 months.
Wow.
And sometimes I'll see people and they're like, "How are you okay?" I'm like, I really sit and I
Mm-hmm.
deal with the pain, the
Yeah.
hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I grieve in therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And when I don't feel it and when I have those days, my husband and my friends, they show
Yeah.
up. They
Yeah.
encourage me because
Mm-hmm.
they're pouring from their overflow.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that we should be able to be that for other
For
people
other.
around
Mm-hmm.
us.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
And especially, in the church,
Yes.
because we serve a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And Minister Kaylee said something when we were at class one day, and she was like, you have to pour into yourself,
Mm-hmm.
because we're constantly pouring
Pouring out.
out to other
Mm-hmm.
people.
Right.
Why do we not take the time
To
to
pour back
pour
into
into
us.
ourselves?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that a lot of people don't feel they deserve that. And
Yeah.
and you do.
Yeah.
You deserve to fill your cup up, to make sure that
Exactly.
you're whole, and
Yeah.
it's an inside job.
Yeah.
And the more I do it, the more I can truly be who God
Mm-hmm.
has called me to be.
Yeah.
And the more I don't care about, am I black enough?
Mm-hmm.
Am I too articulate?
Right.
Am I, do I sound white? Because I
Right.
hate when people say that. You sound so. Please don't.
Right. And it's
Please
okay
don't.
if
Because
you
don't let me
don't.
get mad.
Yeah.
Because hold on.
Code switch.
I will code switch. And I've had, everybody calls me because they say I'm their attorney. They're like, I need you to talk to somebody, get them together. And I will. But being able to
Oh, I
do
love
that
that.
is because I've taken the time
Yeah.
to get to know myself. And
Yeah.
I encourage our young people
Mm-hmm.
and women, men, anybody,
Yeah.
get to know yourself outside of the
Mm-hmm.
societal norms.
Exactly.
What
Mm-hmm.
everybody, I'll be
Expect of
in,
you.
yes,
Yeah.
like I'll be in Burlington or Mace, anywhere a song come on, I'll just be
Mm.
singing. My husband's like, how do you know this song? I'm like, because I listen to an eclectic array of music. Okay, I don't
Right.
only listen to one. And for a long time I was ashamed of that. I felt like,
Right.
oh, I only got to listen to R&B
Mm-hmm.
or this. No,
No.
young people, live your life,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
do the things that you love,
Get the experiences. Right.
and do what works for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I see a lot of
Absolutely.
our young people doing that, and I love
Yes.
that for them.
Yes.
That stigma is starting to shake off, and I
Mm-hmm.
and I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Wow. So, I know you have a book.
Yes.
So, can you tell us a little bit about it? This book is amazing, y'all. Wait until she tells you about it.
Yeah. So my husband and I wrote a devotional. It's called Business Built by Faith. And we go to a faith-filled church.
Mm-hmm.
Bishop McBride, that's all he talks about is faith.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you that entrepreneurship, even marriage, everything is faith.
Yeah.
You have to have faith in whatever you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So as an entrepreneur, I continuously get in a position where I'm ministering to people and
Mm-hmm.
telling them, you're going to do this. You've got this. Have
Yeah.
hope. Here's some scripture.
Mm-hmm.
Speak life over your
Right.
business.
Mm-hmm.
And so this devotional is a 31-day devotional that
Mm-hmm.
gives you a prayer, actionable strategies that you
Mm-hmm.
can do in your business,
Right.
business tips. It gives you a place to journal, gives you thought-provoking questions
Mm-hmm.
to explore a little bit deeper about your entrepreneurship journey, whether you're just starting or where
Mm-hmm.
you're a little further along.
Okay.
And I'll be honest, when God told us to write it,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to.
Of
Um,
course not. We never want to move.
I didn't want to. And he put me in a place where I had to build my business by faith.
Mm-hmm.
I lost contracts, the business wasn't thriving as much. And So I took the scriptures and the prayers that I prayed over my business
Mm-hmm.
and I read for my business and just put it in a little small daily devotional.
Mm-hmm.
And even sometimes when I need encouragement, I go back to my
Yeah.
devotional.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, babe, do you want to do the devotional for 31 days? And he's like, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's always constant improvement,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
constant pouring into oneself,
Yes.
pouring into one's business.
Mm-hmm.
And faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not
Yeah.
seen.
Mm-hmm.
When you're building a business,
Yeah.
sometimes you haven't seen that business
Yeah.
get to
Where
six
you want it to be.
seven figures,
Mm-hmm.
but you still have to have faith
Yeah.
in it.
Mm-hmm.
Other people won't support your mission and your vision if you
Right.
don't. So
Exactly.
after you've started it, how do you maintain that hope?
Exactly.
Through
Mm-hmm.
faith.
Through faith.
So I'm very proud
Love
of it.
that. Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, that's amazing. So, any closing remarks or anything that you would like to share with the audience? In just in regards to just any encouragement for someone out there that's listening, they probably had similar experiences as you
Yeah.
have, either being in the foster care, having to overcome some stereotypes or anything of those natures, being in multiple cultural experiences, just any encouragement for our audience that can really help someone out there, before we wrap it up.
Most certainly. So I would just say that be you. Embrace every aspect of you, your uniqueness. Make sure that you're pouring into yourself. The areas of yourself that you know are broken or that you feel unqualified or that you don't feel whole, take those areas and write them down on a piece of paper. Not only give it to God, but start to work and mend those things. You are custom built for whatever season you're in. And as you continue to grow and as you continue to pour into yourself, you'll see yourself begin to elevate. I want you to know that there's nothing wrong with seeking therapy. There's nothing wrong with changing your circumstances, but no one's coming to save you. That is your personal responsibility wherever you are in life. Even if you're accomplished and you're just having challenges, it is your responsibility to seek out any type of help you need, to seek out any type of mentorship you need. And when people correct you, people come and share their experiences, don't be so offended. Take it as God is directly pouring into you and sending someone to empower you and see it as such, instead of taking it as a negative thing. I also want you to know whatever dream you have, whatever vision God has placed inside of you, whether it's entrepreneurship or something in your personal life, it will come to pass if you just have faith in it and faith in yourself. And I hope that my story is a testament that every single obstacle in your way, if you look at it as an opportunity, you can overcome it. There's nothing that's too hard for God, and there's nothing that you can't overcome in this season of life. So,
Wow, thank you for that.
you're
Wow,
welcome.
that's amazing. um One of the things that I really enjoy when I do this podcast is being able to connect and talk to individuals like yourself,
Yeah.
because um, everyone has different experiences, and sometimes you may look at someone and don't really know what they first you don't know what they've been
Right
through,
at
right?
all.
Unless they really sit down and take the time to really share with you. And our experiences are those are testimonies, right?
Yes.
That's how we're able to really reach someone else out there, that might be going through something that we are going through or that we
Mm.
went through, and just knowing that there's hope,
Yes.
knowing that if they persevered, they did it through the help of God, and however He orchestrated it.
Mm.
If they could do it and God could show up for you,
Yes.
He's going to show up for you as well. God can show up for you. He'll orchestrate those situations and circumstances for you so that you can make it through. So don't give up on life, on God, on the experiences that He has in store for you in the future. You never know where God's going to lead you or take you
You never
to.
know.
So hold on, hold on. And so thank you so much for tuning in to the Oneness of Black podcast. and just enjoy this discussion that I've had with Shaylin.
Mhm.
It's such a pleasure having here today. Thank you so much for sharing your testimony, your
Yes.
experiences, I should
Yes.
say.
Right.
um, in hopes that someone else out there, could benefit from just your growth and where you are in life today. And I just want to make sure that we are reaching out to our fellow, you know, friends,
Yeah,
families,
that's right.
because we are always stronger together, right? We heal ourselves, but then we work together to heal others as well.
Mhm. Yes.
So thank you so much for joining us today. Make sure that you are sharing, liking, make sure that leave a comment for us. Let us know how impactful these conversations are for you. So like, comment, and share. Thank you so much for joining us. We're stronger together. We're stronger together.
Thank you for having